Shalom, everyone. This is Brother Doug. I'm with my sister Shoshana, my brother Dennis, my sister Sally. We are the Waking by Yahuwah Fellowship Group, and we are getting into the book of Jeremiah today. We're going to be starting Jeremiah chapter 1. My sister Shoshana is going to be starting chapter 1 right now, so I'll let her take it away.
The words of Yirmiyahu, the son of Hilkiyahu of the Kohanim, who were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of Yahuwah came in the days of Yashayahu, son of Ammon, sovereign of Yahudah, in the 13th year of his reign. And it came in the days of Yahoiakim, son of Yashayahu, sovereign of Yahudah, until the end of the 11th year of Sidkiyahu, son of Yashayahu, sovereign of Yahudah, until the exile of Yerushalayim in the 5th month. Now the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you came out of the womb, I kadosh you. I appointed you to Nabi, to nations. And I said, O Yahuwah, I see, I do not know how to speak, for I am a youth. And Yahuwah said to me, Do not say I am a youth, but go to all to whom I send you, and speak whatever I command you. Do not fear their faces, for I am with you to deliver you, declares Yahuwah. Then Yahuwah put forth his hand and touched my mouth, and Yahuwah said to me, See, I have put my words in your mouth. See, I have this day appointed you over all the nations and over the reigns, to root out and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, What do you see, Yirmiyahu? And I said, I see a branch of an almond tree. And Yahuwah said to me, You have seen well, for I am watching over my word to do it. And the word of Yahuwah came to me a second time, saying, What do you see? And I said, I see a boiling pot, and it is facing from the north. And Yahuwah said to me, Out of the north evil is let loose on all the inhabitants of the land. For look, I am calling all the clans of the reigns of the north, declares Yahuwah. And they shall come, and each one put his throne at the entrance of the gates of Yerushalayim, against all its walls around, and against all the cities of Yahudah. And I shall pronounce my judgments against them concerning all their evil, because they have forsaken me, burned incense to other mighty ones, and bowed themselves to the works of their own hands. Now gird up your loins and arise and speak to them all that I command you. Do not break down before their faces, lest I break you before them. For look, I have made you this day a walled city and an iron column, and bronze walls against all the land, against the sovereigns of Yahudah, against her heads, against her kohanim, and against the people of the land. And they shall fight against you, but not prevail against you, for I am with you, declares Yahuwah, to deliver you. So I think Yirmiyahu sounds a lot like some of us when we are called to talk to people or proclaim his word to others. We feel like we're not ready, or we're too young or too inexperienced. I know I've felt that way. But that was a long time ago. So take it, Doug.
All right, so I wanted to address what's pretty obvious here towards the end is that this is pointing towards not just what was happening then, but what's going to happen in the future, because it talks about all the nations of the north surrounding Jerusalem. You can find that in the book of Luke. Yahushua says that when you see all these nations surrounding Jerusalem, know that her desolation is near. So at this time, this was being fulfilled, but there is a future fulfillment where the nations of the north, some may know it as the Gog-Magog War, is going to be surrounding Jerusalem. The nations of the north, Ethiopia, Rosh, Meshech, Tubal, those guys, who else? Gog and Magog. All these nations and all these people are coming up against Jerusalem in a big battle. And so I believe that the last part of Jeremiah chapter 1 is alluding to that. And Yahushua himself actually alludes to this event happening in the future also, not just in Jeremiah's time, but actually happening in future prophetic events to come, that it's going to happen again. Also, I just wanted to mention for people that don't know what Kohanim is, that's a priest in English, just for people to understand the terminology. So where Shoshana was reading from verses 1 to 3. So this whole chapter is pretty much letting you know this is in the days of Yoshiyahu, king of Yahudah, Judah, the Judeans, one of the 12 tribes of Yashrael. So this is basically the southern kingdom still in the land. So historically speaking, this is happening around the time of where the northern kingdom's already exiled. The southern kingdom is about to be punished and exiled, and Yahuwah is actually bringing a nation from the north. Now, my speculation is that this is referring to Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon actually taking them away. So,
Doug, there's some background noise coming every time you speak.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to be muting other people while whoever's talking. I'm going to have to mute everyone else, unfortunately. So let's see here. So that's pretty much what I took away from this chapter. The historical, I'll say it again, the historical aspect of it is that this is exactly what's happening when Judah, the tribe of Judah, Yehudah, was being taken to Babylon by Nebuchadnezzar. Yahuwah is kind of foretelling that in the last part of this chapter, where he talks about, I'll bring a nation from the north. He talks about disasters coming from the north. And Babylon actually came from the north to take over Jerusalem. We'll see that in future books, like I believe the book of Daniel talks about it in the beginning. So I'm just trying to give kind of like a historical background to what we're reading right here. And also it's talking about that Yahuwah is doing this to punish his people because they worshiped other mighty ones, other deities. They burned incense to them. So that's pretty much what I see over here. And so that's kind of what I got from this chapter. Let me just unmute Sally and Dennis now and see if they have anything to add.
No, I don't have anything else to add right now.
No, I mean, neither really. It's pretty explanatory.
Any volunteers for the next chapter? Okay, well, I guess I'll read the next chapter. All right. So we are about to start Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah chapter 2. And here we go. All right, so I'm reading from the Jerusalem Bible. It's an interesting translation, so just letting you guys know it's kind of like a paraphrase, so it might sound a little different than your translations. So the title for mine says The Earliest Preaching of Yirmiyahu. And it gives like a little colon symbol, the apostasy of Yashra'al. The word of Yahuwah was addressed to me, saying, Go and shout this in the hearing of Yerushalayim. Yahuwah says this, I remember the affection of your youth, the love of your bridal days. You followed me through the wilderness, through a land unsown. Yashrael was sacred to Yahuwah, set apart to Yahuwah. The first fruits of his harvest. Anyone who ate of this had to pay for it. Misfortune came to them. It is Yahuwah who speaks. Listen to the word of Yahuwah, house of Yaakov, house of Jacob. And all you families of the house of Yashrael. Thus says Yahuwah, what shortcoming did your fathers find in me, and that led them to desert me? Vanity they pursued. Vanity they became. They never said, where is Yahuwah, who brought us out of the land of Egypt and led us through the wilderness, through a land arid and scored, a land of drought and darkness, a land where no one passes and no man lives. I brought you to a fertile country to enjoy its produce and good things. But no sooner had you entered that you defiled my land. But no sooner and made my heritage detestable. The priests have never asked, where is Yahuwah? Those who administer the law have no knowledge of me. The shepherds have rebelled against me. The prophets have prophesied in the name of Baal. Follow things with no power in them. So I must put you on trial once more. It is Yahuwah who speaks, and your children's children too. Now take ship for the islands of Kittim, or send to Kedar to inquire. Take care, notice, and observe if anything like this has happened. Does a nation change its mighty ones? And these are not mighty ones at all. Yet my people have exchanged their esteem for what has no power in it. You heavens, stand against this. Stand stupefied and utterly appalled. It is Yahuwah who speaks. Since my people have committed a double crime, they have abandoned me, the fountain of living water, only to dig cisterns for themselves, leaky cisterns that hold no water. Is Yashrael then a slave, or born to be a servant? For him to be preyed on like this, lions have roared at him. Loudly they have roared. They have reduced his land to a desert. His towns lie burned and desolate. The people of Noph and Taphanes have even shaved your skull. Have you not brought this on yourself by abandoning Yahuwah your Elohim? What is the good of going to Egypt now to drink the water of the Nile? What is the good of going to Assyria to drink the water of the river? Your own wickedness is punishing you. Your own apostasies are rebuking you. Consider carefully how evil and bitter it is for you to abandon Yahuwah your Elohim and not to stand in awe of me. It is Yahuwah Sabaoth who speaks. It is long ago now since you broke your yoke, burst your bonds, and said, I will not serve. Well, it kind of sounds like Psalms chapter 2. Yet on every high hill and under every spreading tree or green tree, you have lain down like a harlot. Yet I have planted you a choice vine, a shoot of soundest stock. How is it you have become a degenerate plant, you bastard vine? Should you launder yourself with potash and put in quantities of lye? I should still detect the stain of your guilt. It is Yahuwah Sabaoth who speaks. So basically in that verse, there's a lot of fancy words they're using in this translation, but basically they're saying there's no use to be covering yourself with soap and trying to get your stains out. I see your sin, basically is what Yahuwah is saying. It is the Master Yahuwah who speaks. How dare you say I am not defiled? How dare you say I am? I have not run after the Baals, ? Look at your footprints in the valley and acknowledge what you have done. A frantic she-camel running in all directions, bolts for the desert, snuffing the breeze in desire. Who can control her when she is on heat? Whoever looks for her will have no trouble. He will find her with her mate. Beware, your own foot may soon go unshod. Your own throat may grow dry. But who cares, you said, for I am in love with strangers, and they are the ones I follow. Like a thief in the disgrace of being caught, so will the house of Yashrael be they, their kings, their princes, their priests, and their prophets, who say to a piece of wood, you are my father. Wow. All right. It's starting to get personal now. To a stone you have begotten me. They turn their backs to me, never their faces. All right. So let me just pause this for a second. All right, everyone, we were back. I left off at verse 27, so I'm going to continue the rest of Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 27. And here we go. If my camera would stop freezing so much, that would be great. Who say to a piece of wood, you are my father, to a stone you have begotten me. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 27. They turn their backs to me, never their faces, but when trouble comes they shout, get up, save us. Where are those mighty ones of yours you made for yourself? Let them get up to save you when trouble comes. For you have as many mighty ones as you have towns, Yehuda. As many altars for Baal as Yerushalayim has streets. What cause can you make against me? You have all apostatized from me. It is Yahuwah who speaks. In vain I have struck down your sons. You did not accept correction. Your sword devoured your prophets like a destructive lion. What a brood you are. Listen, this is the word of Yahuwah. Have I been a desert for Yashrael, or a land of deepest gloom? Then why do my people say, we will go our own way? We will no longer come to you. Does a girl forget her ornaments, a bride her sash? And yet my people have forgotten me for days beyond number. How well you know the way in pursuit of love. Yes, you have even accustomed your steps to walk with crime, to the point when your hands display the stains from the blood of innocent men. You never caught them trying to break and enter. Yes, for all these you will have to answer. You say, I am blameless. His anger has turned away from me, and here I am passing sentence on you. Because you say, I have not transgressed. How frivolously you undertake a change of course. But you will be disappointed by Egypt, just as you were by Assyria. You will have to leave there also with your hands on your head, for Yahuwah has rejected those that you rely on. You will come to no good with them. That was the end of chapter 2 of Jeremiah. There's a lot to discuss here. So I'm going to unmute everyone there. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys comment in. I'm going to comment after you guys get a chance.
Well, what it says is very interesting because it could be talking about the current generation. In fact, the current generation is about as evil as they get. And am I being heard? I can't tell.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, you sound very loud and clear right now. So,
Okay, I just couldn't tell. Anyway, it just sounds like he's speaking to today's youth and today's generation in general, because they certainly have forgotten him. And definitely have they forgotten his name for Baal, because Baal is all they call on these days, the Lord. And you try to tell them that Yahweh has a name and it's not the Lord, and they forget immediately. It's like you never said it. And I really feel badly for this generation, because this generation he will come against with the great tribulation, that he's going to unleash Hashatan and all of his cohorts against this whole generation, unless you're counted worthy to escape. And we pray that we are. And that's all I have now.
Yeah, it's like they're under great delusions. Like they say they haven't sinned, and yet it's kind of blatant, shows that they have. Making images out of worshiping trees and stones. And yet, wow, that's hard to imagine.
Well, I don't see any trees or stones, but I certainly see a lot of, I haven't done anything. What, who, me? No, I haven't the trees or stones, but I've seen plenty of the other, and it might as well be trees and stones.
well, technically there is trees even in modern day. It's just that we've been deceived into not thinking that holding hands with family and circling around a Christmas tree is not equating to what says of Yashrael back then, that you've acted like a harlot,
There's that tree.
spread your legs open under every green tree. So in reality, it is the same in modern day. It's just a different way.
Every time they bow to put that present under that tree or pick one up, they're bowing before it.
So also I wanted to comment on the fact that a lot of this stuff definitely had to do with what they were doing back then, because he's talking about you've made molten mighty ones for yourself, you followed after vanity. So I think back then, obviously, it was physically they were creating mighty ones for themselves. But now, in modern day, instead of wooden or metal mighty ones, we have, people that Yahuwah's people have idolized, celebrities, people that are actually worshipped. And so even if someone's listening right now that maybe you have some idols in your life, like you have a favorite sports star, just kind of remember that the Nephilim themselves were called the heroes of old, okay? Hero worship goes all the way back to Genesis 6. So hero worship's nothing new. And actually, when you're worshiping these stars, I find it kind of funny that these Hollywood celebrities are called stars.
Mm-hmm.
Star worship, Malachim worship. So in actuality, when you're worshiping these idols, you're also worshiping the principality that's behind them, which is Satan. So when you're idolizing Jay-Z, or how he likes to call himself Jehovah, and how Kanye likes to call himself Jesus, and how they like to think themselves as deities, you are giving them power by worshiping them. You are giving these spiritual entities that are behind them power by doing that. So that's just something to be thinking about, and how even though we might have physical wooden idols today, there's other ways idol worship still exists today, and how this chapter can still pertain to us. And I see it gets very personal at the end. The last 10 verses of this chapter, it gets very personal. He's like, you've called these mighty ones your dad, your father. I mean, he gets like really, really personal with Yashrael. He's like, you know, what happened to the days when you were my bride, basically? You know, what happened to those days you were following me in the wilderness? Like he's like, what happened to the days of your youth when you actually loved me? You know, so he's getting very personal with Yashrael at this point. And what I find interesting is Baal is the main deity that he's pointing out to them, like, why do you keep worshiping this false mighty one? Like, and anyone that doesn't know who Baal is, he is the guy that created the Tower of Babel. So Baal is not just a statue; it was an actual person, and he was not a deity. He was not a mighty one. He was a man. So right there is hero worship, right there. Okay, so Nimrod became this giant, this hunter of giants, according to the Septuagint. And he was a king over all the earth in Genesis 11. You can check that out. And he's been known by many names over many lifetimes. Like you can, it's kind of funny how X-Men Apocalypse says that. So that's actually true. He's been known by Zeus, Jupiter, Saturn, Elohim, El. Okay,
And don't forget the one ended in WEH.
Yeah, Yahweh is also the heir apparent, I guess, the modern English pronunciation of IOVE, which is the Latin for Jupiter that we call Jupiter in English is actually Eov. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it in Latin.
No, it's pronounced Yahweh. That's how it's pronounced in Latin.
Oh, okay, so it's spelled that way in Latin. Okay. So basically, he's been known by many names, and Baal is one of them. And so we're not going to get to it yet, probably today, but you'll see that the female co-part of Baal will come up, I'm pretty sure, in the book of Jeremiah. And you'll start seeing that even in modern day today, that people so-called that are believers in Yahusha are being led astray and being led away to idolize the quote-unquote Queen of Heaven. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but so basically this is what I saw from this chapter was it shows you that, the whole Christmas tree thing was back then, going under a green tree, and Yahuwah considers that actually harlotry. He actually considers idolatry equating to spiritual adultery, if anything, because he's calling her a harlot. He's saying on every high hill, under every green tree, you have laid down like a harlot. So he's equating idolatry as spiritual adultery. So that's just something to think about too. And he's also warning them. He's like, don't go to Assyria, don't go to Egypt. There's no point, because you're going to get rebuked by your own apostasy, your own wickedness. So he's basically saying there's nowhere you can run, there's nowhere you can hide. He also, what I find interesting too, is he's bringing them on trial. He's putting them on trial, and I find interesting that he's actually calling the heavens as witness against them. So I find it interesting that Yahusha says in Matthew 5, he says, until heaven and earth pass away. Maybe Yahusha is making a reference to the fact that heaven and earth is Yahuwah's two witnesses that he holds against us when we sin. He's like, witness earth, witness heavens, what they're doing. So it's kind of interesting, kind of blending that of Jeremiah 2 with what Yahusha says. The law will not pass away as long as heaven and earth is still here. As long as the Yahuwah's witnesses are still here. So I kind of find that pretty interesting anyway.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 28, I believe, has a verse that says, I hold heaven and earth against you
Mm,
as the two witnesses against those who sin.
mm. Yeah, wow. So, let's see here if I'm forgetting anything. Okay, the blood. Oh, shedding blood of innocent men. So who is accusing them of being murderers. Also talking about you've murdered your own prophets. And basically, Yahuwah's even saying, I've struck down your children in vain. I've struck down, Yahuwah obviously referencing to the people that he used as kind of like a lesson for us when Yahuwah struck down people that transgressed against him, because some people Yahuwah didn't, he chose to, strike sinners down in the past as kind of like a warning for us